Hey guys, it's Dave and welcome back to X-Men Logan Legacy. It's another issue, that is issue 2. The issue 1 is gone very well. I never expected this much of kind of fan support. You guys are really awesome. You guys have seen this issue and got a really good comments. So I'm working on the next issues also. Let's see what we have in here. We got here a Pride and Mourning Death of Wolverine, the Legacy 2. Teenagers are not known for reacting rationally to tragedy. In fact, they are not known for reacting rationally too much of anything. It's almost expected that teenagers are not emotionally equipped to deal with that kind of loss. So major loss, their brains are like an old computer trying to upgrade from Windows 98 to Windows 8. It's a messy glitchy transition to say the least. That's why few are surprised when a teenager loses a loved one and they deal with it. It's sometimes easy to, but at least teenagers have an excuse. However, it's select few choose not to exercise that excuse. Since her debut in X-Men Evolution, X-23 has had plenty of excuses to be a volatile, irrational, unstable teenage girl. In many ways, she is a perfect storm of teenage angst. She's a clone of Wolverine, which by default gives her a temper and an attitude she was conditioned and at times tortured to becoming a killer just like Wolverine. And even after she escaped all this horror, she still has to deal with the rages of being a teenage girl. As messed up as Wolverine was, he never had to deal with the raging hormones, teen angst, and melodrama unique to teenage girls. X-23 has essentially had the opposite of a head start in life, and that life has already had its share of tragedy. Being tricked into killing her own mother certainly qualifies as such. Now she has to deal with the death of Wolverine, who was very much like a father to her. So this means X-23 is exceedingly handicapped in dealing with tragedy, but that's exactly what she has to deal with. So the Wolverine left us with a rather questionable ending, but the true horror of last week was the start of the Logan Legacy. Luckily, however, this issue turns things around. As though it's far from perfect, it's much better than last week's opening issue, but which was essentially an extended preview. In all fairness, however, this was the issue I was looking forward to, with Laura's actions being brilliant throughout. Team Sylvie has been doing a wonderful job both on Batman Eternal and with his independent series, with Hack Slash still being my favorite work from him. It's this that made me excited that he would be handling the X-23 side of the series, with the end result being very impressive, though the subplot of X-23 Wonder felt rather random and dull at times. The symbolism behind this late tale really did impress me. I also loved how we got to see her resentment towards Logan, as well as learning why she got gold and blue streaks in her hair. So it's kind of a different kind of thing. I got a different kind of issues. So we got one more review from Comic Book Herald. They're saying Laura X-23 is being transported to a holding facility already populated by Dick and Wolverine. And this is kind of a review from Direct to Story. So they don't know who their captor is, but safe to say the reason behind it must have to do with Logan. Lady Deathstrike is also thrown into the cell, and a masked figure sits quietly in the corner, who is revealed to be Professor X. But spoiler, it's not him, because he is dead. See the Axis event happening now for more info. So it was kind of the old issues. This is slated as a 7-part mini-series, so it is safe to assume that each subsequent issue will deal with a single character, leading back to the point where issue 1 leaves off. Charles Soule, who also penned the Death of Wolverine story, wrote that first issue, but the second one is written by Team Silly with art by Ariella Cristantina and Sonia Obach. Each issue will give us a little background on how each one of these characters deals with the death of these integral mutants. Some are friends and others are not, but all could potentially feel the whole left behind by No More Wolverine again, I am going to infer that this will be dragged out and an ongoing debate for some time, as Marvel has slated a new series to spin off from here titled Wolverines. This issue does bring a good story to the fold as we see X-23 working out her frustration in the danger room. She isn't necessarily saddened by loss of her mentor, and rightfully so, because emotions don't come easy for a clone. So that's a tough job, and got over a lot of conversation over here. So in a very Wolverine-esque fashion, she decides to leave the Xavier school and head out on her own for a while to not only process how Wolverine left her by herself promising he never would, but to also distance herself from Kitty Pryde and the rest of the X-Men, trying to relate to her feelings or lack thereof. She makes her way to Toronto and finds herself in a dance club just as it is terrorized by a group of outsiders called the Happy Clams. Lame names aside, she jumps to action, being eventually aided by the Chinook. Okay, lame names and seem to permit this whole issue. This Canadian superhero of sorts is given an interesting backstory tying him to Wolverine's past, but the story on a whole falls a little flat. Laura is a tough character to write, as she is supposed to be an emotionless killer that is dealing with finding her humanity. Sally does an adequate job, and the art is very colorful, but the only takeaway from the story is the ending. Laura realizes that what it means to be a hero and what Wolverine did in his life, being a symbol in the clothes he wore. It is an interesting turn and feel-good moment, but just barely. The best there is the ending, where Laura dons a little color in her hair as a tribute to Wolverine and also returns to the X-Men. It is a nice moment and a clunky character arc for her. So that's it. We have enjoyed this one. The next one is the Logan Legacy, continues next with Sabretooth. So enjoy this one and hope you guys will enjoy the next one also. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it.